Hello friends, this morning I am playing with little Valentine's cards I will be making. This was one of them I've already shared with you, and I thought this was a lot of fun. But let's see, let me find a page here I can paint on. Here we go. By the way, this is the Artisto 140-pound cold press. Love these because they're perforated. They've got great texture. I even label mine according to the season or the year or what have you. Maybe this would be all the month of February. And that way I catalog them all and I can keep them all to reference back. I'll also be using my Paul Rubens student grade paint. Love, love, love them. Look at all these gorgeous colors, perfect colors for our Valentine's flowers. And, you know, use what you have. I'm going to be using my 8 round. If you have my 8 round, that's great. Use that one. It's the pink brush like this. It's very similar to the Princeton Velvet Touch intentionally because I like the snappiness. And today what I want to paint are these little, I think they're called bleeding hearts. And I just think they're so cute. Like, how cool is it? There's a flower that looks like a bleeding heart. I think that's so interesting. So what I want to do first is let's just swatch out here. Let me get my swatch stamp and my Ranger ink pad, and we'll just do our little swatch circles here, get an idea of the colors. There we go. I'm going to be using quite a limited palette. So I think the 2 colors I will use will be, of course, big surprise, my Quin Magenta, Quin Rose, just that hot pink. And I want a little bit of depth and more of a red color. So let's play with a couple of these. That might be pretty. So there's that one. And then let me try this one. This is a little bit truer red. Look how pretty that is. So I've got a couple reds here. And then, of course, I'll need just a couple greens for our leaves. My typical go-to is that sap green, which is like an in-between of tree green and our olive green. I do quite frequently add in the olive green though, just for some dark shadowy areas. And then if you want to practice some of the brush strokes, you can do that. Also make sure with these flowers, you're going in with a very light value of our color, meaning it's maybe 75% water, 25% in pigment. And then we'll also make sure that we're adding in, you know, a medium value like that, because it's going to create a lot of depth. And then, of course, you've got our full value here. So we want to add in all 3 of those. Because look at how interesting that is. This one really pops out. This one's kind of mid-ground, and this one would be more background. And it just is going to help give some depth and some interest. And then the brush strokes I'll be using, because this is a heart, are going to be the tip and a little bit of the side of my brush. So I've got my hand anchored here. I'm going to start my heart with the tip of my brush, go up around, and now I'm just shaping out my heart with the tip of my brush. Other side, just like that. And for these little bleeding hearts, tip of the brush, they've got these little curly Q things that come out, so cute. Like that. And they've also got this little dingle-dangle thing, like that. So there you go. And then while it's wet, I will go in and just add in some darker colors so we get that wet and wet blend. And then, of course, for the leaves, these are a 3-petal leaf that I found online. So what I'm going to do is go in, and the leaves will be kind of like dabs. So there'll be a dab, a dab, a dab. That's it. A dab, a dab, a dab. And that's how I'm going to do my petals. I just thought too, I forgot a color here for our branch. I will use probably my Van Dyke Brown. And there we go. And for the branches, of course, we'll be using just the tip of our brush, something like that. All right, well, let's get started on our little floor here. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. Got some yellow paint on there. So let's do, I think I might even turn my page landscape. I love that look. And let's go ahead and put some of our green in a palette. So we've got a well filled there, and I'm going to start off with about 50-50, 50 pigment, 50-50 water, and then I'll add in a little bit of my red here for that depth and a little bit, maybe more warmth. This one's a little bit cooler. So there we go. Tap off my brush, add a little bit more water, because you want to go in with, remember, your lightest value. You can always get darker. And then let's go ahead and start with these little half moon circles. And I'm going to put one here. I'm just kind of drawing this out. I want to have maybe one here, so composition wise. And then maybe I'll do another one up here. So I'm encouraging my viewer's eye to kind of move around the page. Another one here. And maybe one more. There's three. I really like groups of three, but I feel like I might need one more. And then let's do our little branch coming out here. Something like that. We're going to keep it pretty simple. So let's go into our paint, add a little bit more water because I want a lighter value. If you need to test out that value, because I want to start somewhere between my lightest and my mid value. So that's pretty good. That's not bad. That's closer to my mid value. And let's start drawing in our little hearts. Point, press at the side of my brush, then up on the point, and I can just kind of fill in point, side of my brush. So I'm using the tip of my brush to really clarify the shape. And then I've got these little curly cues, so cute. I'd love to see one of these in person. And there we go. Not going to get too perfect on these. Adding in some dark red just for interest. And then let's go into this one, point, open the side of my brush by putting more pressure, and then up on the point to kind of shape out my heart. Oop. Same thing here, side of my brush, up on the point. And we've got our little there we go. Now I'll go in with some of that red, just tap in here and there, just for some fun interest. I might even lift, so wash, rinse my brush, tap it off so it's a thirsty brush. And look at that, it instantly added that little highlight there. Okay, I think that's good. What I want to do here before this dries too much is go into that brown. So I kind of had in between a sepia and a Van Dyke Brown. Van Dyke Brown seems to be my go-to. It's a little bit darker, but I'm adding some water in here, tapping off. And now I'm going to just touch in tip of my brush And there you go. I've got my little branch. I could even add, while this is still wet, if I want to get that wet and wet look, let's get some of our green in a palette here. That's my tree green. And a little bit of my sap green. A little bit more water. So I've got 50-50, and then I'm tapping off. And now I'll go in and start adding in some of those fun leaves. So dab, 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 and maybe another one here. Dab, dab, dab. Maybe I've got, there we go. Maybe even ones coming out behind my little heart. So there you go. I could add, I guess, one more in here. Dab, 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 dab. Just like that. And let's finish off our other heart here. So point, side of my brush, had a little too much water on there. See that? There's puddles. So I just want to go in and soak that up a bit. And that's because I didn't tap off my brush. Using the tip of my brush to shape. And then I'll go into some of that red, dot that in. A little bit more of the pink. And maybe even lift off some there. Now before that dries, I want to go in with my brown. So pick it up, tap, tap, tap. There we go. And maybe we want to do a couple more little hearts here. That's what I was kind of thinking I was going to want to add in some more. So let's do one here, point, press. Let's do another one, tap, tap, tap. Got our little, add in some red. Wash, rinse, tap off, so thirsty brush, and lift some of that out. And then some of our brown, tap, tap, tap. And now we can go in and add some of our leaves. So picking up my green paint, tap, tap, tap. Let's see, maybe we need a little branch here. Make it interesting. And I feel like I need one more little, or maybe we could do one here. I don't know. Let's see, composition wise, we're kind of going up this way. I feel like I need to come back down just a bit. So let's do a little heart here. I'm gonna make that a little pinker. It got some of the red in there. Tap, tap, tap. Got way too much in there. See how that is puddling? I don't want that. So picking this up, tap, tap, tap. And there we go. And let's add in a tiny bit of the red, tapping it in, letting it blend. There we go. Wash, rinse my brush, tap it off on a paper towel, lift up, and look how pretty that is. I'll go in now with my brown. Tap, tap, tap. Let that bleed and blend into my red just a bit. There we go. I wanted those to bleed just a little bit more. And now I'll add in my leaves. I'm going to add in just a little bit more paint in there. Tap, tap, tap. There we go. So fun. I might even darken up a few of those, maybe value-wise. So going back to the value, maybe create some darker greens. And you'll see how that'll really make it pop out. Look at that. It just pops those right out and really creates some beautiful interest. And then the lighter ones look like they're back a little bit farther. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like to work in odd numbers. So there you go. I'm about done. You could add some splatters onto here if you like, if that background is a little too plain for you. There we go. Of course, in the theme of Valentine's, and for me, that means lots of bling and shine. I could add in a tiny bit of gold to these. You don't have to do this, but of course I like to add that in. There we go. That was a little wet, and I might even add some in to my leaves. Of course, like I said, you don't have to do this, but that's kind of my jam. And maybe let's even add in some gold sparkles. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? I'll hold this up so you can see it. And there you go. I hope you give this a try. Try working with a landscape sheet of paper. I always think that's kind of fun. And happy Valentine's Day. I will have a few more little Valentine's paintings that we can share here. I will put all my supplies down below. Don't forget to check out my community page. I have lots of freebies and insights and fun things for you there too. And just thank you for being here with me. Let's keep having fun in our little community. All right, happy painting.